Hi, I'm Sarah Short, your host of the No Way But Through podcast. This is your weekly one-stop shop for all things mom. How to parent through those exhausting days with your little ones, how to be intentional and connected with your big kids, and how to embrace what truly matters and let go of the rest. From life with a newborn to toddlers to teenagers and everything in between, I'll teach you foundational and practical strategies on how to walk through every season of motherhood with courage and creativity, all while prioritizing your relationships with your kids in a home life where all of you can thrive. My Nana once told me, there's no way but through. Turns out she was right in life and in motherhood. So come along with me as we become better moms together. This is the No Way But Through podcast. Hey y'all, welcome back to the No Way But Through podcast. I am your host, Sarah Short, and I'm so glad you're here with me again today. We are in a series called Short Takes, where you ask me questions and I answer them. Your questions, straight to the point answers. I was laughing last week after I finished recording the episode on boundaries and grandparents that I think I talked for over 20 minutes. And I was telling one of my older kids that I think I failed at short takes already because that definitely wasn't short. To which he responded, just 20 minutes, Mom? That's actually really short for you. I mean, no one has ever accused me of being short on words, okay? No one knows this better than my kids. I promise to keep this one shorter today. This is a question, again, that Jason and I got at the parenting conference we spoke at last month. And it was such a good question that I'm going to answer it on today's podcast. I'll read you the question word for word just to give it a little bit more context. Here's the question that we got. We have a toddler and are expecting baby number 2. What are some parenting decisions or habits that you wish you had put in place when your kids were this age? One of the things I do a lot in the work that I do here with the moms in my real life and then here on this podcast is to think back to the days when I was where so many of you are today, with newborns and babies and toddlers and preschoolers running all over my house. I love looking back on those days and thinking about what I've learned and what I would do differently and what I would do the same. This question speaks right to that. And then I get to actually do that, to come on here and answer this one for you while thinking back. What would I do differently? What would I do the same? That's something that I really love to do and love to think about. There are 3 things I want to share with you today as it relates to this question. One of them is something that we did not do and I wish we had done. And 2 of them are things that we did do that I'm so glad we did. I actually went right to Jason with this question and told him that I was going to podcast about it. And we talked through it yet again just to make sure we were both on the same page. I had a feeling that we would be, but he agreed with all of these and we hashed them out together. So you're getting a response from both of us today. So let's get right into it. What are some parenting decisions or habits that you wish you had put in place when your kids were this age, newborn and toddler? Number 1, prioritize one-on-one time with your toddler. This is something that Jason and I began to do much better with our later kids. But when new babies arrive on the scene, a lot happens with your toddler and with your older kids. All of a sudden, there's this new creature in the house, and a lot of times they don't know what to do with this or how to feel about it. And it's so important to affirm and reiterate with your toddler that they are still very much so special and so important to you, even though a new baby takes up a lot of your time now and has arrived on the scene. And the most important thing I can tell you about this, about prioritizing one-on-one time with your toddler or with your preschool or older kids, is that it does not need to be elaborate, planned out, expensive, time-consuming activities that you are doing. Just put your toddler in the car and drive to McDonald's and get an ice cream cone and then drive home. Just that 20 minutes in the car where you are talking with your toddler or you're listening to some of his or her favorite music or you're talking about the new baby or talking about their days. Just engaging with them and being present with them is exactly what they need. You don't need to go to a trampoline park. You don't need to go to a movie or plan something that's going to take several hours. This one-on-one time can just look like running to Chick-fil-A and sharing some French fries, or going to their favorite ice cream place and sitting with them for just a few minutes. I will tell you now that we have older kids. They all look back and remember these times with me or with Jason as some of their most special times with us. It wasn't our big, elaborate vacations or the things that we did that were over the top that really solidified our relationship with our kids. But it was these everyday small investments of time we made into each of them as individuals that created a close-knit, bonding, rich, and real relationship with each of them. And if you establish this habit very early on as new babies are arriving, then it becomes part of the fabric of your family and much easier to continue as they get older. Number 2, let go of keeping a perfect house and let people in. This is something that Jason and I did not do well when our oldest kids were little. We missed out on so much relationship with people when we had our first 2 or 3 kids, because I just felt like the mess in our house and the toys everywhere and the dishes all over the counter filling the sink, and this idea that I needed to keep a perfect house in order for people to come over was so big in my mind that we didn't open our doors. It wasn't until our 5th child, our daughter, was 3 years old and our oldest son was 11 that we began to open our doors to people and let friends with kids in, let singles in and other couples in, just to be part of doing life with us. And I stopped stressing about needing to keep our house in perfect condition to let people in. I was just so embarrassed when my kids were really little about the toys everywhere and diapers on the floor and the mess, and most of the interactions that I had with friends and other families were then done either in their homes, or I would suggest that we meet out somewhere at a park or at the mall, because I could not let go of the idea of needing to keep a perfect house in order for people to come over. And so we missed out, us and our kids. So if I can encourage you with anything as it relates to this, it's just that it doesn't matter what your house looks like. It doesn't matter if there is laundry piled up and dishes in the sink and toys all over your family room and entryway. Y'all, that is what your house is supposed to look like when you have babies and toddlers. Let it go. Call your friends. Open the door. Let people in. My friend Courtney, she did this so well. She just didn't get hung up on this. And so we all hung out at her house and she made us biscuits and chocolate gravy. And I have such sweet memories of that time. And y'all, I built 2 of my best friendships over at her house that I still have today, simply because she opened the door and let us in. She was just able to let go of the idea of keeping a perfect house. You don't need to keep a perfect house. You just need to open the door and let your friends in. They want you exactly as you are. Number 3, everyone eats together at the dinner table. This is something that Jason and I did from the time our very first children were born over 20 years ago. We did not feed our kids at 5 o'clock or 5:30 and then do bedtime routines and then have dinner, the 2 of us, later on after our kids were in bed. Our dinner table was for all of us. Our toddlers ate the same food we ate. There were seasons when we had multiple high chairs around our table at dinner time, and a baby was in a bouncy seat pulled up on the floor next to us. Our dinner table and the family life that we built around it is central to who we are now. I recorded an entire episode on the importance of this. It's episode 4, 2 Habits for Building a Close-Knit Family. And I would really encourage you to go listen to that episode if you want to hear more on this. but so much of who we are as the Shorts. The life that we share together as a family, our disappointments, our hopes, our dreams, what happens during the school and work day, teaching our toddlers to be able to drink from a cup without spilling it, falling in love with the same meals and eating grandma's favorites. All of that happened around our dinner table together, and it started from the time we had our very first son and has continued for the last over 20 years. If you are having a date night, by all means, feed your little ones and then put them to bed and order takeout, make a special meal for your date night after they are in bed. I talk about that in episode 26, titled No Money, No Time, No Babysitter, 10 Practical Ideas for Making Date Nights Happen Anyway. But I want to encourage you to make dinner time with your kids, everyone around the table, all of you together. Something you prioritize now when you have little babies and toddlers. Make it a habit. Make it part of your family rhythms and your priority, and I promise you it will pay off in big, big ways in your relationships with your kids. So, number one, prioritize one-on-one time with your toddler. Just 20 minutes to get ice cream. It doesn't have to be elaborate and it doesn't have to be lengthy. Just pockets of a few minutes here and there will build something so special between you. Number two, let go of a perfect house and let people in. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. People matter. You building rich and real friendships matter. And number three, everyone eats dinner together at the dinner table. This is one of the most central things about my close-knit family, and I am so grateful that Jason and I prioritized this 20 years ago when Jack was born. Eat dinner every night together at the table. You will be so thankful you did. So that's it for this episode of Short Takes. Your questions, straight to the point answers. See y'all next time on the No Way But Through podcast. You've just listened to another episode of the No Way But Through podcast. If you want to connect with other like-minded moms and join our growing online community, head on over to Instagram and follow along with us at No Way But Through. You can always reach me over there throughout the week. And if you'd like to financially support this podcast, there's a link at the bottom of every episode where you can do just that.